Hi, Stampers. This is Sandy Hartko with Stamp and Go on August the 12th. We meet here every second Tuesday of the month and we create 3 cards using a single stamp set. And tonight we are going to be using the artistic leaves. If you would like a free card kit to make these cards, you can place a $35 order through me. See that link below, and you'll get a kit to make 2 of each of these cards. If you place a $50 order, you'll get the free card kit plus you'll get a pack of embellishments. Now you have 1 week to get that order placed, so you have until August the 18th at midnight to get that placed. But don't delay too long so you forget to do that. All right, let's get started. All right, this is the stamp set called Artistic Leaves that we are going to be using tonight. This is an online exclusive product that has just become available in July. So you can get this online. The online exclusive just means that you won't see this in a catalog, that you'll only see it online, but you're seeing it here tonight. So let us begin. All right, this is our first card, and we are going to create this using embossing. So, so first thing that we're going to do is make this little square here. So we're going to start, actually, we are going to use our foam mat because these are photopolymers, and that means it doesn't have any foam in there to give it a little boost. So we're going to use our foam mat so we get a good image. We're going to use Versamark for our embossing. And this is the little square that we're going to use. Now we're going to turn it vertically like this, and we're going to aim that stem at the top. Okay. Going to rub our embossing buddy over this, so if we have any fingerprints or any moisture on there, that we will take care of that so that the embossing powder does not stick to it. So first thing we're going to do is we're using the image that we're going to call this the outline image. So make sure that you're using the right one for this stamp. We're going to actually use both of the images, the fill-in image and the outline image, and all of the cards tonight. So you'll get to use all of those. All right, we've inked that up. We've not touched this since we used the buddy on there. And so we're going to aim this stem at that top corner and then press down really well. Okay, now pull that off. I am going to clean my stamps as we go because we're going to be using these multiple times as we go tonight. So if there's a little brief pause in there, it's because I am cleaning the stamp. Now, we have a little catch card here that we're going to open up to grab all that embossing powder that falls off of the card. So let's sprinkle this liberally, pick that up and cap it off. It's looking pretty good. That's a juicy ink pad. I can see that it's really nabbing a lot of that powder. So we've got a juicy ink pad going there. All right, we've gotten rid of the powder. We're going to get that out of the way. And I'm also going to get this out of the way for the time being. And we're going to grab, if you have tweezers, this is a good time to grab those. Grab your heat gun, and we're just going to hold that steady until it starts turning shiny gold. I'm going to try to keep that in the camera so that you can see it's beginning to turn gold now. So then we're going to move it on to the next section. Oops, I hit it. You don't want to do that. All right, keep your mind on what you're doing. You don't hit that. I'll show you a good one in a little bit. Okay, just keep going. You don't have to wiggle it back and forth like that. It doesn't really do anything for you. It just heats it up, cools it down, heats it up, cools it down. If you keep that heat steady, you'll get done just as quickly. All right, let's turn that off. Now the next step, we are not going to use a stamp. We're going to use a blender pen. And this is the dark pecan pie. And we're going to color in We're going to color in those areas that were not covered by the embossing powder. And I'll show you what that looks like. So you're going to do that all the way around. When you get it completely covered, you're going to take a tissue and just lightly go over that so that you pick up any of the ink that is on the embossing powder. So when you get that done, it will look like this. Isn't that pretty? All right, so you can see in between there where I put the ink from the blender pen. So that just adds a nice little dimension and a little bit of color there in the background. All right, the next thing we're going to do is grab the dots. They look like this. We're going to do the dots in pecan pie. Now, we don't want to get too crazy with the dots because sometimes they add nice perspective, and sometimes if we do too much, it actually takes away. So we're just going to be a little bit careful about where we put these and how much we do. I think that is totally sufficient. So let me wipe that off and get rid of the pecan pie. We do not need that any longer. All right, so we might as well go ahead and work on this. The next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of gold, and this comes from a different stamp set, and you'll find all this information in the PDF. The PDF will be out tomorrow, so watch that email tomorrow, and you'll find the link in that email tomorrow also to place your order if you don't place it tonight. We're going to pop this on with a glue dot, and I've rolled that up a little bit. And we're going to place that right on the back of that little flower right there because that's got a lot of space for us. We're going to pop this right down the center. Nice. All right, we're going to grab that bow. These bows will be tied for you in your card kit, so you don't have to worry about whether or not you can tie a bow. I'm going to grab another glue dot, pull that a little tighter there, and then we're going to put that glue dot on the back of our bow. And that's going right up here at the top. Nice. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do are the three little dots that are along the side here. And because they weren't the shade of gold that I wanted for this card, we're going to take our dark pecan pie blend, and I don't know if I can do this up here, so we'll try that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you're just going to cover that little dot, we need three of them, with your blender pen. And that just gives them a little golder tone, which I think works much more nicely with this card. All right, cap that. We're going to grab these little dots and we're going to pop them in a straight line, but it's now going to be kind of on the diagonal here. And we're going to just make a straight line about an eighth of an inch between each one. All right, there we go. Nice. Okay, that's looking good. Now get rid of that, and we're going to flip this to the back side, and we're going to put dimensionals behind here. Okay, just like that. 4 is totally sufficient. This isn't that big. Okay, so we're going to lay this over to the side for a moment. Grab the rest of the card making. So we have an espresso card base, opens over here on the right hand side. And the next layer is crumb cake. So let me see what I did with my glue. So we're going to add a little bit of glue to the back side here. Don't need a lot of glue. This is the best paper glue you'll ever use. Just use dots of it. It'll conserve it and it'll also protect you from getting it on your fingers. And it will definitely never come off. It is a good glue. All right, the next layer is a basic beige. And this has been embossed with your exposed brick folder. So we're going to, again, pop a little glue on the back side. If you keep it in about 1/4 of an inch, it won't ooze out to the side if you're using the proper amount. Now, if you're using too much, If it oozes out the side, that's a good indication you can use less glue, save your money, and still have a card that's well put together. All right. The last piece is this piece of designer paper, and this is from Woven Textures. The other side is just as pretty, isn't it? So we're going to add a little bit of glue back there. And we're going to come over about 3/4 of an inch and then center it top to bottom, just like that. Nice. Okay, now we can take off the toppers from the back of our focal point here. And we are going to put it on this way. And we're going to center it side to side. So we're going to center it side to side. And it's going to come up, the tip right here is going to meet the edge of that. So let me recenter that, bring it down so that meets there, and then just press down. Awesome. Now, our last piece is a die cut. It says with sympathy, and we die cut this with a hybrid called Thoughtful Moment. So I'm going to put a glue dot in the center and under the sympathy so that we can just pop this right there. And then your card is ready for sending. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, you might enjoy our classes that we have every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can find out about these if you're on my email list, and you can also see the schedule on my blog, which is sandylovesstamping.com, and the schedule is under events. Okay. All righty, let's move on to card number 2. This is card number 2. Isn't that pretty? Now, in this card, we're going to be using both the outline and the fill-in. We'll call it the fill-in. Okay. So let's begin working on that. We're going to grab the white piece, which looks like this, and we're going to bring back our foam mat so we get a good image when we're stamping. We're going to use Lost Lagoon on the outline piece. So let me grab that outline piece. Remember, it looks like this. It's got the detail in there. So we're going to ink that up. And we're going to kind of angle it a little bit so that the stem is coming down in this direction, okay? And then we're going to bring it closer up here to the top than to the bottom. And then just press down. Okay. And I am going to clean that because we're going to use that one again also. We're using this one in all 3 cards. Let's get rid of the Lost Lagoon. And we're going to grab the fill. We're going to call this the fill-in leaf. And we're going to, for this one, we're going to use Pool Party. All this information is in your PDF, and that will be coming in an email tomorrow. And if you get the card kit when I have your card kit ready, I'll also resend that to you. All right, we're going to whoops, got that in the wrong direction. I thought that's not over the right leaves there. So we're going to try to find 2 or 3 focal points and match them up and then gently go down. Now, these are stamps where you don't actually have to be perfect for it to look pretty. You can see I came outside here, but it still looks really nice. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, we have our pool party here. We're going to bring back in the dots, which look like this, and we're just going to add a little bit of texture to this. We're going to, if you add too much, it looks gaudy, and we just want enough on there that it adds just a tiny bit of interest. Okay, so let's close up our pool party. Get rid of that, and I think for the moment we are done with this. So let's lay that over to the side. We're going to grab the little pool party label and we're going to stamp that with Celebrate Today. And we're using Pretty Peacock as our ink. Okay. Whoops, bring that back. Ink this up, just gently touch it on there. You don't need to squish it. And we're going to go over the pool party label and rock it slightly to get the top and bottom of all those letters. Close this up. We are completed with that one. And let's see, we're going to flip this to the back side and nab a couple of tiny, these are the mini dimensionals. So I'm going to put one on each end there. And then that one is ready to use. So we'll lay that over to the side. All right, we're going to get rid of this for the time being and grab our card base, which is Lost Lagoon, and it opens over here on the right-hand side. The next layer up is embossed with exposed brick. The exposed brick is one of those that's nice to give you a bit of background interest, but it doesn't overpower your focal point. That's one of the reasons I use it quite frequently. All right, we're going to center that over your card base. And then we're going to grab the designer paper. Now, this designer paper, both sides are actually very pretty. So if you get your kit, you might want to use both sides, one on each of the cards. And this comes from Timeless Plaid. So we're going to center that side to side and top to bottom. Okay. Now, the next layer that goes on will be your focal point. And we're just going to add a bit of glue to the back of that. And make sure that our stem is going in the right position. Now we're going to come down about a ½ inch from the top. That means you'll see a little bit more of your designer paper at the bottom than you do at the top. Get that straightened up there. Okay. Now we have a pretty little border that's been die cut from silver, and this die cut comes from Coneflower Celebration. So it's not the same set that we're using today. We're just going to pop a little bit of glue on some of these cross pieces. And then we're going to come up about a ½ inch from the bottom and center that side to side. And then just press that down. Okay. Now we're ready to pop on the Celebrate Today. So we're going to take the topper off of that. There we go. Yep, I got it. All right, and we're going to come to the center of our leaf, put the Celebrate, the beginning of the Celebrate there, and then just press down. That'll bring it within about 1/8 of an inch of the edge there. Let's pop the glue top back on. We have 3 rhinestones that look like this. Now, you can tell that we are using a colored rhinestone. So we are going to use the dark Pretty Peacock, and I'm going to use the nub end or the nib end of that. And we're going to just color over those rhinestones. And that way, you always have, if you have a pack of rhinestones, you can always match your color scheme just by using your blends. Okay, see that? How easy that was? All right, pop that cap back on. And we're going to grab our tool here, our piercing tool. And we're going to come down in a vertical line about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And we're going to leave about 1/8 of an inch between the two. All right, and there you go. Let's get that straightened up a little bit. That's better. And now your card is ready for sending. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, you might want to share and like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that. I would very much appreciate that. Alrighty, let us look at card number 3. And I always try to leave your easy one for the end. That way, if you're tired, the end is an easy card to make. So let's bring back our foam mat, pull down our central focal point here. We're going to grab Granny Apple, and we're using the outline stamp again. So let's open that up. Okay, we're going to ink that up. Now remember, this is Granny Apple. Okay, we're going to make the stem point towards the corner here. And make sure that this leaf is pretty much along the edge here. Okay, that's the 2 points I would recommend trying to hit. All right, press down, re-ink, and this time we're going to put the stem going in this direction, and we're going to try to not stamp over the leaf here. So we're going to try to get as much of the leaf on as we can without over stamping. So there we go. Nice. All right, let's cover up the granny. We're going to grab the fill-in leaf stamp, and we are going to use a lemon lime twist. Okay, so let's ink that up. And again, we're going to line up about 3 points. If you can get 3 points lined up, you're usually pretty good. And then stamp. Nice. And then we're going to ink up one more time. Looks like I got a little ink on the block here. So I'm going to get rid of that, and then I'm going to re-ink just to make sure I didn't wipe any of that off. And again, we're going to try to find 3 focal points and then go down gently and stamp. Awesome. Very good. All right, let's cover up the ink. Get rid of our mat here, and we're going to bring in the remainder of the card makings for this. You can see it is olive and it opens at the bottom. Okay, we're going to grab our designer paper. This also is from Timeless Plaid. This side is pretty also, but I think the other side has a little bit more interest for this card. We are going to bring it within about 1/8 of an inch from the edges. A little bit more here. And this one goes on this side. Perfect. Nice. Now we're going to bring in our focal point, add a little bit of glue to the back side, and center that between the two. That way, if you need to wiggle it a little bit one way or the other, you're good to go. All right, pressing that down. Now we have Celebrate, and we are going to be using glue dots to put this on. The Celebrate is from the hybrid called Thoughtful Moments. And if you stamp with me, you know that we use this a lot. It is just a perfect size and a perfect script for a lot of our design. So we're going to angle this slightly so that the ATE is up a little higher than the celeb. All right, press that down. Now we're going to use the holographic resin dots for the leaf centers. We're just going to pop one of those large ones in each leaf center, just like this. And the color and the shine just make that perfect. All right, that is the last card for this evening. I really hope that you've enjoyed it, and if you did, pop back and see us at the next Stamp and Go, which is the second Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock, and that happens to be September the 9th. Thanks so much. Take care.